Welcome back, Crip Crow! Yes, it's so good to have you. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode. Here it is, episode 199 of the Lost in the Dark podcast. I cannot thank you enough for being here. This is kind of episode part 2. This was recorded at the same time that we did yesterday's episode. I just decided to split it up into 2. Tonight, we are talking about all things the metal tour of the year. We went to both shows in Michigan, and we're here to talk about it. So we're going to get real deep into that in a minute. But first up, we got some shout-outs, as always. First up, our brothers over there in Wisconsin in the Dipping Milk in Cookies podcast. Join your hosts, Garrett, the Cookie Commander Smith, and Mike, Master Milker Sokovia, as those two best friends try to figure out this thing we call life using friends, guests, and microphones. That it is absolutely one of my favorite podcasts going. I think they switched down to bi-weekly. They used to be weekly, but I still look forward to every time I see it pop up in the feed. I'm like, yes, new episode of DMIC. Like, it's absolutely one of my favorite podcasts. They do these amazing segments. The Master Milker's Mysterious Mysteries, the Six Pack, the Question of the Week. And that's another thing that I love about them, is that they're very interactive. If you email them, they'll reply. They put up questions on their Facebook every week, and if you answer them, they'll read your answer on the show. So be sure to follow their Facebook, Dipping Milk and Cookies. Be sure to follow that podcast on Facebook if you want to do that, because it's a lot of fun. And they are just some of the coolest guys. And Garrett, the Cookie Commander Smith, guitarist for Reflections of Flesh. So be sure to check out all things Reflections of Flesh while you're checking out Dippin' Milk and Cookies. All right? Next up, coming to you from the glacial dumping ground known as the Michigan Basin, Wayne and Michelle are a Michigan-based husband and wife educator and podcasting duo that examine UFOs and other paranormal topics within Michigan and beyond. Topics include UFOs, the paranormal, conspiracy theories, ghosts, alternative history, the Michigan Dogman, Bigfoot, cryptids, and all things strange and paranormal. You know, it's kind of funny, because that's one of the things that got me into the idea of podcasting, was things like Coast to Coast AM, which is, if you don't know what that is, it's like the longest running AM radio talk show in the world, and it is just nothing but paranormal stuff. And that is, that is a common theme. We've always talked about that stuff since the first episode of this podcast. I've always wanted to have that element in this. That was very important to me from the beginning. Having said that, I rarely find, I'm not talking shit or anything, but I rarely find a good paranormal podcast, honestly. Like, I rarely find one that I really latch onto in terms of stuff like we do. You know, there is like lore, but that's kind of got that historical element. They don't have guests and stuff like that. It's a different kind of podcast. In terms of this kind of podcast, I gotta say, Wayne and Michelle take the cake for me in terms of paranormal podcasts. They are my favorite paranormal podcast that I've heard yet, and they are just got into it. They just started doing it. They have this amazing community on Facebook. I highly recommend checking out the Michigan UFO Sightings and Paranormal Encounters podcast Facebook, because that's a really awesome group, and there's a lot of really cool stuff in there. Really good people. But I gotta say, there's not any other one that I listen to as regularly as theirs, hands down. And I genuinely look forward to every single new episode, because I know every single time I'm going to find a new YouTuber to follow, a new podcaster to listen to, a new rabbit hole to go down, because that's what they do. They just keep showing me new and awesome shit, and fingers crossed we are getting something set up for them, another little crossover event with their podcast during spooky season sometime this month. Perfect time, right? So that is going to wrap it up for the podcast shout outs. The band shout-out is going to be a little bit different tonight. It is going to be like the last one, where I'm going to be shouting out a bunch of bands, but really it's a show. And it's a show that takes place at the Diesel Concert Lounge in New Baltimore, Michigan on Halloween. Let's just start there. On Halloween night. I've never been to a show on Halloween night, believe it or not. Kind of weird. But I am beyond I was already extremely excited, and then the lineup got even more stacked. I can't believe it. This is a once-in-a-lifetime show at one of the craziest setup venues, one of the wildest venues I've ever fucking been to. It's absolutely, I've never seen anything like it. The Diesel Concert Lounge, Halloween night. Who's going to be there? Hate Unbound, Pestilent Age, Corrupta, Reflections of Flesh, Motherfucking War, and that's WOR. The fucking breathing process, unbelievable. And our big time family over there in the motherfucking convalescence. Come on, come the fuck on. All of that already that alone would have been one of my most anticipated shows of the year. All that, no question I'd be there. Headlining the night is absolutely one of my favorite bands of all time, a band I have seen many times. I've seen a lot of legendary shows of theirs here in Michigan. None other, it is the return, everyone, of fucking Battlecross. Come the fuck on. Like, growing up, like, they were at every fucking show and they always destroyed. Like, I'm so fucking, I haven't seen them in many years. I'm so fucking happy that they're back. They're going to play, and it's on Halloween. It's going to be a legendary night, a night I can't even, I cannot fucking wait. So, I cannot recommend coming to the show enough. If you're in the Michigan area, or if you're like a 72-hour flight away, flight tickets aren't that expensive right now, so it's worth it, is all I'm saying. Trust me, it's fucking worth it. Like, this, I feel like, is a once-in-a-lifetime show that may never happen again for all the best reasons. Like, I think this is going to be a very magical and evil night, and I cannot fucking wait. One more time, October 31st at the Diesel Concert Lounge in New Baltimore, Michigan, featuring Hate Unbound, Pestilent Age, Recorruptor, Reflections of Flesh, War, The Breathing Process, Convalescence, and Battlecross. Yeah! Unbelievable. It's going to be unbelievable, and I just cannot fucking wait. So that's going to do it for the shout-outs this time, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I hope you check out some of the stuff I suggested. But without further ado, let's get into it. Here it is. $199. $200 comes next. It's going to be crazy. So thank you all so much. Hope you enjoy our discussion about the Metal Tour of the Year. And if you went to the Metal Tour of the Year or anything like that, if you saw it in a different state, let us know how it was in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you all so much. Love you. Enjoy. All right. So we kind of, what do we got? We got like, I guess technically we got two shows to talk about. First one that I want to talk, well, they're both the same show, but the first one is, we're talking about the Metal Tour of the Year. All right. It had two stops in Michigan. All right. The first stop was at Pine Knob DTE. Like a Sunday or two ago. I can't remember. I went to that one with Preston. Now, co-founder of the show. What you guys got to understand is Pine Knob, is now known as DT. For Preston and I mean, like, in terms of places that mean something to us, I would argue, and I don't think he would disagree, the top three on the list that still exist, let me clarify it with that still exist, are in no particular order: our family cabin that we lost, that is no longer in our family, that we will get back one day. That's definitely on there. DT, Pine Knob, Home Away from Home. I don't know what the third one was going to be. Fuck. No. Armando's. That was the third one. Armando's. Of course. So two, but like one of the three is Pine Knob. It's a music venue. There was a point in time where for him and I, it was our home away from home. We spent many days, many summers there. So for him and I to come back there after pandemic and everything closed down and everything went away, it was like a homecoming. It felt so good to be there, to be what felt like back home in a lot of ways. And, you know, that's really what I want to talk about with that one. The show was amazing. Everything about the show was amazing. But what was really special was just being back at DTE. And
It's the reason I'm so fucking excited about Saturday.
I know. All right, me too. We'll
get into that.
And it's just like,
oh yeah,
the energy of the place, like it felt almost more electric than it ever has before in a lot of ways. Everybody was just so fucking happy to be there. Nobody was upset about anything. Everybody was just happy, and it was just fucking magical. Like, you know what I mean? Like, to finally be back.
There is a certain, like, I don't know, I'd stray away from using the term vibe, I guess, but there's a certain energy, there's a certain
atmosphere, energy. Yes.
Yeah, that just, if I could bottle it and sell it and take it with me, like,
it would be my drug of choice.
Yeah. Like,
if I could feel the way I feel there every day,
yeah,
I'd be the happiest man on earth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. And
you saw what, I mean, well, the bands that were there, well, I guess because you have a little bit different perspective on it because you saw Hatebreed and
so Trivium. That is the, slightly to interrupt you, I'm sorry. That is where we're going, is that the following, that was a Sunday. The following Friday, you and I saw the same show, different venue, Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort venue in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, which I had never been to before. That was very exciting. So that's where we're going. Your question, sir. Because you were framing it in the sense that I had seen a different, because when we got there, we had already missed Hatebreed, sadly.
Yeah. Well, I was good because I remember we talked about the fact that let's face the facts here. Okay, it was a Megadeth headliner, but Lamb of God kind of stole the show, as they do.
You can't follow Lamb of God.
Yeah. I don't care who you are at this point.
I don't care who, like, unless you're Iron fucking Maiden.
Yeah.
Or Ozzy fucking Osbourne, you're not following Lamb of God.
Yeah.
Slayer retired. I would say Slayer, but Slayer retired.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. I actually know for a fact, even if you're Metallica, you can't follow Lamb of God, because when Lamb of God opened for Metallica, I didn't see it. It was one of the only Lamb of God dates I've ever missed in Michigan. Because it was Metallica headline, so sold out. But I read reviews of that show, and I read people saying, I've never heard of that Lamb of God band, but they impressed me just as much as Metallica. And these are people that have been listening to Metallica for 30 years, and they've never heard of Lamb of God,
which I don't understand. But
so this is my point. There's no following Lamb of God, no matter who the fuck you are. I don't fucking care if you're Metallica. Like, unless you have a stage show like Iron fucking Maiden, you don't follow Lamb of God.
Yeah. Like, I used to put them up there with Devil Driver. Which,
not
I don't
anymore.
know if I would necessarily say the same. At least
definitely not anymore.
Yeah. And I would say, and I guess I'm biased, but the only band I would put, like, at least that has that same energy, but even they don't bring it quite like like they really don't bring it quite the same with the same intensity as Slipknot, but it's kind of a different intensity to it. They have a different show, like it's
Also,
kind of thing. But yeah, dude, I would. And there's something about Lamb of God, man. Just when that intro starts, when that first song starts, when they play, the staple songs, man, it's war, dude. Like
when they play the staple songs, it's war, and then this is the first time we got to hear some of the new songs,
yeah,
and even those were like, oh, this is on the set list forever now. Like this has to be on the set list. It was so fucking good. It was also the first time that this tour is also the first time Lamb of God has ever used pyrotechnics.
Yeah.
It was the first time we've ever seen him with fire.
Sick, man.
Like,
yeah.
So fucking sick.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So yeah, I went to the fucking DTE show. It was amazing. Just be like the show, everything about the show was amazing, but just being back in that venue is really what was special to me. But then getting to go with you the following Friday at a new venue, a place I'd never been before, was unfucking real. It was.
I was gonna ask because we were talking about the set list, and you saw a couple extra songs that didn't play at the one date. I'm pretty sure because they didn't play Poison Dream, and I think they played that at the DTE.
No, I'm saying they didn't play it at either.
Oh, really?
Really?
Okay.
That's what that was my one disappointment about all of it, is that I saw both shows in Michigan, and Hatebreed and Lamb of God were on both of them, and Jasta / Hatebreed / Lamb of God / Randy Bly have multiple songs together, and they didn't perform any of them live, and that bummed me out.
Yeah, because I thought that they played a different set or something, because I remember talking about it.
Nope. Okay. The only difference in the set from DTE to Mount Pleasant was there was one song, I can't remember exactly which one it was, like New Colossal Hate or something like that, that they expanded. They made it like a lot longer. And at Soaring Eagle, they didn't do that. And I didn't know why. Still don't know why they did it at DTE. That was the only difference, though. That was the only difference.
That was weird.
Yeah. And so that was the only thing. That was the only thing we missed in the Soaring Eagle show, was that we got there apparently too late for Hatebreed.
Yeah.
Which is fucking weird. But
because
we timed it pretty perfectly.
Yeah.
Or at least we thought we did.
In fairness, like, even though I don't know, like, I feel like the crowd wasn't really right, and I feel like they just kind of fit in the bill weird. But I actually really enjoyed watching Trivium. I thought they
were great.
I thought they had, and that's the thing, is like some of the songs that they played, I feel like they could, because they have heavier songs like than the ones that they played. A lot of them were like a little more like along the more like, I don't know, radio kind of songs or whatever, or just that would have this like this big heavy opening part with a lot of crowd interaction, and then it would just kind of drop back, and it would just be kind of like, I don't know, but it would just kind of lose the energy for it. But it was really cool seeing I don't know, because I got really into them in Waves, and I think they ended the set with that song, and there was a couple others.
I think it was like it was either the last or the second to last song, because that's like one of the ones I know by them. So because I'm not a giant Trivium guy, but I do love Matt Heafy as an individual, so I have massive respect for that band.
Yeah, I was a big fan of The Sin and the Sentence, the last record, and then this new one that's coming out. But yeah, In Waves is really kind of the one that
that shit was sick, dude.
Yeah. I'd really like to see them on a headliner, because I feel like, and that's kind of the other side of this coin too, is like I would have really liked to have seen Hatebreed, but I also feel like they are the type of band that I just want to see a whole headlining set from them. Like, I just, if like, it's really hard for me to like.
But if you have a fucking I mean, basically an auditorium of people that are outside, and you want a band up front that's gonna get people
That's fair.
ready.
Yeah.
Like that's
Oh
one of
yeah.
the that's there's almost nobody better to do it. Like it
Yeah.
makes complete sense to me. And I know, you know, for them, like because we both listen to the Josta show, the Jamie Josta podcast, lead singer Hatebreed. He has talked many times about wanting to tour with Megadeth and things always falling through. So I
Yeah.
know what this tour means for them as individuals, to finally be able to tour with Megadeth,
That's fair.
and so all of that combined makes me personally as a fan much more of a fan of Hatebreed than In Flames. It kind of like, as bummed as I am for In Flames, because I do think they're very good, that they weren't able to participate in the tour because of visa issues, probably because of COVID and shit. Hatebreed got put on, and I think that it worked better. It probably worked better ultimately, and I'm just happy that, because I know for how long Hatebreed has tried to tour with Megadeth. I'm just happy that they finally got to be able to do it. You know what I mean? Like, so I know it was like a thing, an extra thing for them, so
Yeah.
it was,
That
yeah.
was, yeah. And
I don't disagree with you, but I'm just really happy that they got to be able to do that.
yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm not trying to take that away from you.
No, of course. Yeah.
I'm just like,
Of course I'd
there's
rather
just
see them on a headline. Like, come on. Come
yeah.
on. I've seen Hatebreed headline probably more than any other band that I've ever seen headline, besides maybe Children of Bodom. And every time it's total fucking chaos.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing, but it's never, unless you see them in the parking lot or in a small venue. When you see them on the main stage and you got 500 rows of people sitting down in front of you when you're on the lawn or whatever, it's just not the same. But there's no fucking, it's not the same. It's not the same. There's no question. All right. That's the reality of the situation. But having said that, their music is fucking powerful enough to, even if they're opening, even if the sun is still up, even if there's 500 rows in front of you of people sitting down, when they come out with Destroy Everything, there was a pit. There was a pit. Like, you know what I mean? They're the opening band. Like, there's no question. They have the songs where there's no question. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, we're going nuts. Like, it's just the reality of the situation. Like, yeah. Yes, there's no question. They're always better with a much longer set in a smaller situation. But if I'm Lamb of God, if I'm Megadeth, and I want that fucking crowd ready to fucking go, I'm opening with Hatebreed. I'm opening with Parkway Drive. I'm opening with Convalescence. You know what I mean? Like, I'm opening with a band that I know fucking brings it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And there's no question. There's no question. So
it's interesting to me that In Flames was one of the bands that got, because no discredit to them, because
it makes sense. It makes complete sense. They've all toured together before. It makes sense.
Yeah. It's
many times.
It was very obvious to me, and I don't know if it's mostly due to this, but it probably had it's a big impact on it, because the show that we went to and this was at Soaring Eagle, which is in Mount Pleasant, like we
got to talk about the venue, because I've never been there, so I'd like to comment on the venue. But go on.
That was kind of what I was getting at. But the crowd was a little weird at that one. That was
This is what I'll say. And I've learned this through many years of going to shows in every part of the state. The only part of the state I've never been to a show in Michigan is northern. I've never been farther north officially now than Mount Pleasant to see a show.
Yeah.
Here is what I'll say that I've observed. Having now gone to a show in Mount Pleasant is, in anybody that doesn't know Michigan can look it up. Mount Pleasant is like dead center of the state, 30 to 40 minutes north of Lansing.
Yeah.
Dead center. Here's what I've found from now. I officially cut the state in half at Mount Pleasant. So if you're in Mount Pleasant and you go west, you get Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, Grand Rapids, all these places that have venues that I've been to. These crowds are just not the same. They're just not as participant. They're just not as good as the crowds on the east side of the state in Flint and in Detroit. I have seen the same fucking bands on the same tour on both sides of the fucking state. One side of the state, crowd barely does anything. Other side of the state, crowd's going ape shit.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about the west side of the state of Michigan that they just aren't willing to let loose like that or whatever. Maybe the east side of the state is just a bunch of fucking psychos like we are, but I don't know what it is. But that is something that I have noticed time and time again, whether it be Slayer, Megadeth, Anthrax, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Children of Bodom, Amon Amarth, fucking Lamb of God, Hatebreed, Typo Negative. You know, all these bands I've seen on both sides of the state, and I've noticed the differences in the crowds. Five Finger Death Punch, even, you know, like Ozzy is another one. Like all these artists I've seen on both sides of the fucking state. One side, I'm the wildest guy in the crowd. Other side, I'm the tamest guy in the fucking crowd. Like, that's basically what it is.
Yeah, that was the weird part. Like, I felt like at one point we were just the loudest motherfuckers in that bitch. But at the same time, like,
I'm sorry, when there are certain bands, when I am in a crowd and there are certain bands on that fucking stage, I'm not
me.
no, or we are more us than we are ever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's no stopping it. There's no controlling. There's no, it's letting go of all control in that crowd and just surrendering to the music. That's what it is for people like you and me. And for some reason, for people on the west side of our state, they don't do that, I guess. Like they don't, I don't know what it is, but they just don't do that.
Yeah. Well, what I kind of think that it is, and it could be a variety of things. It could just be, you know, just the type of show that it was, the lineup, whatever. But like the only other time I'd been there was to see Judas Priest and Deep Purple, right? These are bands that don't necessarily always have a mosh pit associated with them.
Neither does Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
You know, these are old school bands. This is an old school situation. Old school in this particular context does not mean mosh pit.
Right. And that is probably the weirdest part, is that to me, like when we were standing there, for one, I feel like we got to tell this story because it's kind of fucking funny. So we were standing there when Lamb of God started. There was like there was that same. I just got this same energy of like this place is about to explode. Like there's something crazy that's gonna happen. Like I just feel like I'm on the edge of something. There was a gigantic pit that opened up behind us, and in that same breath, up front of said pit, which, and when I say pit, I mean like there was
A pit broke out
we
behind
were
us.
standing.
We're on a lawn,
Yeah,
and a pit broke out behind us, which as they do,
and
especially if you're in the front.
Yeah, the pit area was there was like barricade. There was like a big stand for like a screen that was right there. So it was which we were standing next to, probably like I don't know, a couple feet next to, and then behind us there was gravel, and then it was just a lawn basically, as you would grass, all that stuff. So there was potential for, and it was the same around the outside. Like they had it set for like standing room back there, but it was like gravel. It was like
I would argue. Well, I've been on 3 amphitheater lawns, 3 venues with amphitheater lawns in my life. I would argue that one was the best set up for a pit.
yeah.
Hands down.
And you could tell as soon as, and obviously, like if any band is going to make people start moshing and running into each other, beating the shit out of each other, it's Lamb of God, right?
Their name is Lamb of motherfucking God.
Yeah.
Reality of the situation. Good luck standing still when Lamb of God is on the fucking stage. All right.
And so 2 songs in, we had 2 people in front of us that had a problem with the fact that there was a big pit, there was pushing and shoving, all that stuff going on.
Well, let's hang on. Let's be real clear.
You have a different perspective of it because
Well, let's be clear about this.
Yeah.
We were not, a pit broke out behind us. We were not involved.
Yeah.
And someone crashed into us, inevitably causing us to crash into the people that were in front of us.
Yeah.
It was not, we weren't like, it's not like we weren't trying to pay, but like just one, just we were standing there, one broke up. I don't even think we realized it.
Yeah.
I don't even think it was like the first song. We didn't even know what was going on behind us until we got hit from behind and pushed into the people in front of us. Go on.
And then, but that, I mean, at that point, that's just like, okay, this is what's happening.
Oh, it's on now. It's on now. It's
yeah.
on now. Yeah.
But there was 2 people, 2 older people. I don't know, like whatever.
They were an older couple.
Yeah, that seemed to have had a problem with the fact and thought that we were pushing into them.
The woman did. The female of the couple.
Yeah. And
because apparently I don't know. All I know is that I got pushed into the guy.
Yeah.
And I heard, I don't know if it was him or not. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if it was him or not, but I heard someone starting to talk shit. And so I went, dude, we just got pushed into you. We're like trying to protect you. Sorry. Like, we're not, like, we're not, we just, like, we're good. Like, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
And immediately he was cool. You had a different experience, which is hilarious because until you told me about it in the car that night, I didn't even go on. Just so I'll get to that later. Go on.
So this happens, and I'm standing right there, and all
you get pushed. You get pushed too. No. You get put. We both get pushed into this couple. I got pushed kind of into the guy, and I literally, and I'm, we're both mosh pit veterans. When I get fucking pushed from behind, my hands immediately just go up, and I just I'm at mercy of whatever is about to happen.
Yeah.
Right?
You just get carried away with it,
and I'm just like I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. It's happening. Like, woo! You know what I mean? I love it. But go on.
So that happened, and I was at the time, like, I was trying to catch my footing because I was like headbanging and stuff, kind of lost my footing.
Yeah, we were both headbanging when we got hit, so we were already off balance.
Yeah,
It was a fucking opening song. It was like "Walk with Me in Hell" or something. Like, are you kidding me? Our necks are breaking right now.
It's been 2
fucking years.
So with that, so all that happens. He starts talking, and all I say is, "You're in the wrong spot."
No. You got pushed in.
Yeah.
And she started bitching.
Yeah.
She started fucking. Why are we getting pushed into? I'm like, you're at the front of a pit.
Yeah. There's more ways to enjoy the show than just doing that stuff and blah.
No, there's not. No, there's not. No. Then you've never been to a metal show. Then you've never shut the fuck up. You've never been to a fucking metal show.
Yeah.
So that's the reality. And what's hilarious is I literally didn't, because I didn't look over. I kind of from the peripheral, I saw the confrontation, but I didn't know it was you.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Really? Yeah, I know you don't know this. Yeah. I didn't know it was you until we talked about it in the car that night. All I heard was, "You're in the wrong spot." I didn't even register that as your voice. "You're in the wrong spot." I thought that was somebody else.
Oh, that's crazy.
I swear to God, because I thought, because we got pushed and we got moved, so I thought you were still to my left. I thought you were still, because when we got pushed, you were on my left side. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, I didn't know you were on my right side.
Yeah.
And then when I saw you again, when I looked over again, you were already back on my left side. So I thought that was somebody else. I thought that was somebody else until you started talking about the fucking car on the way home. And I've waited to tell you that until we talked about the podcast. So I didn't even know that was you. So like, knowing that, that's not like, that is not something you would normally say to anybody. But at the same time, you weren't being mean. Like, you were being honest. You were like, "Look, if you don't want that, then move, because this is happening whether either of us want it or not."
Yeah.
Whether you want it, whether I want it, it doesn't matter. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so it's just the reality of the situation here that we're in.
I didn't know how to express that other than just by saying, like, just like, what do you want me to do about these people behind us?
We literally got pushed into them. It wasn't even, we weren't even a part of it. Like, it wasn't even, we had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
We were standing there fucking going nuts, headbanging, and someone hit us from the back that launched us into them.
Yeah.
Like, we had no fucking control over the situation, which is one of the best parts about a metal show. But so that was, and that to me is a perfect example of the audiences on the west side of the state. I literally saw people I got dirty looks once for headbanging at a Trans-Siberian Orchestra show on the west side of the state. Never have I had that on the east side of the state. Never, ever. But on the west side of the state, I'm like in the first 10 fucking rows. I'm fucking. I'm going nuts. And then for a half a second, I stop and I look around and everybody's just giving me these looks. And I'm like, "Go fuck yourself, you motherfuckers. You don't know how to fucking enjoy music. Like, fuck you. Fuck you. So you clearly don't understand what's happening here. So fuck you." Like, this is, you think Trans-Siberian Orchestra is on stage and they want you to sit there and stare? That is not what they want. They want you to lose your fucking shit, you stupid motherfucker. So
I just,
that's perfect example of what I'm trying to explain in terms of the crowds and the differences in our state.
If you're there, they will try to basically get you to stop. If you're at, like, somewhere else like DT, they will push you back and continue. Like,
oh my God, I've seen skulls cracked open at DT. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've seen everything.
I'll never forget standing on the hill. I think where we were seeing I think we were seeing Slayer. Somebody ran down the hill and just like
Yep. Oh my God. I know
yeah.
exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
I wasn't prepared for it. Just happened. I was like,
yep.
Okay, I might be concussed after this.
Oh no.
Yeah.
There's a real injury threat on the east side of this stage.
Yeah.
But that's what's fucking real about it.
Yeah.
That's what's fucking real about it. Like we don't fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like it makes it better to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm a psycho. Maybe we're all psychos, but that's what gives it that visceral fucking. Don't fucking judge me at a fucking metal show. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
it was to a point where like I couldn't even believe that we were having these conversations.
No, exactly. Exactly.
And the other thing that kind of got me was like, like I was looking around at certain points during the set and I could tell that like there's just this feeling of like, like hesitant to me. Like there was just this feeling of like
I got that too.
You know what I mean? Like people wanted to do stuff like that bit that happened very like after a couple of songs just kind of stopped and everybody was still like standing there and stuff. It felt like I don't know.
What did I tell you? That's why I fucking said what I said before they fucking started. I was like, if we turn around when they start and there's not a pit, I'm starting one.
Yeah.
Because I knew I felt that fucking Western Michigan crowd, there because the reality is the show was at was basically in Detroit a week before. So everybody that's going to be at that show is from the middle or western part of the state. Nobody from the east side of the state. Everybody from the east side of the state was already at that show 5 days earlier.
Yeah.
So that was just going to be everybody from the west or middle part of the state. And I fucking felt it. And that's why I was like, there is no fucking way Lamb of God's going on that stage and there's not a fucking pit. And if they don't start it, I'm gonna, because it's part of the agreement. It's part of the agreement. Like it's part of the agreement between the fans and the band. It's the understanding. It's part of the agreement. Like you guys go on stage and destroy, and we destroy the crowd.
Yeah,
it's the agreement. That's what we do at metal. It's not. Yeah. It's not passive. It's not fucking. We're gonna stand there and watch the music. No, fuck you. We're going nuts. Yeah. We're destroying this fucking place. That's what metal is. It's visceral.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like, and the west side of the state just doesn't seem to have that. They just don't seem to have that psychosis.
Yeah. Whatever you want to call it. But I also feel like, kind of what I was getting at was that if this were a Lamb of God headliner, it would have probably been a different story, and it probably wouldn't have been at Soaring Eagle to me, because I feel like, I don't know if it's just, because you've been paying attention the last little while. I mean, there's billboards up, especially where you live at, that they're always advertising for acts that are at Soaring Eagle.
Yeah,
and to me,
it's true. Right in Frendor, down the road.
Yeah, it would make sense that kind of a response would come from a show that had Megadeth as the headliner. Because to me, to be honest, when I was looking up there, when they were on, I felt like there was a lot of people that were just from that, from that older, and a lot of people
the old school.
Yeah, a lot of people that we talked to were kind of in that same headspace. It was that same sort of.
That's true, but they weren't. A lot of the people that we talked to weren't. They were down for the pit.
That's true. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I would agree with you had I not seen Megadeth at DT previously, like years back in like 2009 or something like that. Like it was a Gigantor.
Okay.
And Aaron, the place went fucking nuts. Like only 10 years ago. So it's the same fucking beat. Like, you know what I mean? Like the place went fucking What was it? It actually would have been 07 or 08 because I only remember that because at the time I was dating a girl and like we both loved the song A Tout de le Monde. And they played it, and during that song I asked her to like a school dance or whatever. So like I kind of that's kind of why I remember that. And Children of fucking Bodom played that Gigantor.
Good man.
So I remember that shit. And I think it. Oh no, that was a different show. But yeah, no, my point is that I've seen fucking Lamb of God, or no, I'm sorry, Megadeth in a crowd without Lamb of God, and those old people still go fucking insane. Like
Yeah.
Ages matter. It seems to be region. Like,
man, that's pretty interesting.
It's weird. It's really weird.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't understand it at all.
I wonder if other states see this.
I don't know.
Because to me, I mean, it
could be. I don't know.
It's that same kind of question about like, the UK shows or like European shit. Like,
well, I mean, most bands that I've talked to personally, at least, they prefer Europe audiences because they get more involved.
Yeah.
Apparently, we don't that much in the United States. And in terms of the United States, I've heard it upsets me, but a lot of bands will say, their favorite states to play aren't Michigan. Apparently Texas is crazy. California, apparently it bums me out. It does bum me out because I always want us to be the hardest. Like oh man, and you know what? I guarantee I've seen some shit at some shows where like I feel like they have to like remember that. Like,
yeah,
there's no fucking way. Like, but yeah. What were we talking about? I don't know. But
I was gonna go into the Megadeth portion of the show because
you had never seen them before.
I hadn't, and
I've seen them many times.
Yeah, and honestly, I given because I guess to kind of back up, I'm sure as a lot of other people, will agree with this and have the same kind of outlook. But Megadeth was a band that I wasn't super into when I was getting into like the big four bands. I would say probably like more. I was paying more attention to like Metallica and Slayer. And
you probably the big four bands, would you say that the big four bands were some of the first metal bands you got into? Yes or no? Because I would assume probably not.
In terms of heavy music, no. But when I understood and kind of got into more thrash metal, I would say that was kind of an introduction to it.
Of course, but they weren't you would never describe any of them as part of your introduction into metal.
Outside of probably Metallica, no.
Okay, Metallica is for everybody, so yeah, that's just that's obvious.
Yeah.
Now, see, and that's what's different for you and me is that Megadeth, in particular, was one of my bridge bands. Was one of my first bands that I really was introduced to hardcore by Uncle Jason. So Far So Good, So What, in particular. Yeah. That was part of my introduction into metal at all. So Megadeth for me is one of my most important bands. And the first time I ever saw them was Machine Head Megadeth, Heaven and Hell, which was, of course, Black Sabbath original lineup with Ronnie James Dio on vocals.
Man.
At Cobo in Detroit. That was the first time I ever saw Megadeth. And that was I believe that was the United Abominations tour. So they have been a very special band to me for a very long time. I'm just trying to give the audience like our two different perspectives.
Yeah. Wow. Yes, you got that was like the peak. That was like prime for a lot of those bands, really.
The System Has Failed. I got into that album. It was like late middle school, early high school, and to this day, it would be in my top 20 albums of all time, hands down. The System Has Failed. I fucking love that album. Like it was so poignant. It was just for the point in history at that time, in the way I was feeling about things at that time. It was so poignant to me because I was so angry at so many things, especially the government in George W. Bush and all these things. And that album like spoke to all those things in the war in Iraq and all these things. And I was, I was a stupid little kid, just like angry about all these things I didn't understand. And the album just spoke to me in that way, especially the song Scorpion. I mean, come the fuck on. That is a great track.
Yeah. So,
that album just spoke to me at that point in time in my life for those particular reasons. So yeah.
Because I got it pretty heavily into Megadeth around the time that Endgame was coming out.
That was two albums later. It went System Has Failed, United Abominations, Endgame. Yep.
And then
Endgame's a great album. Endgame's a great album.
I think I'm not sure who it's signed by, but I have a signed copy of that somewhere.
Nice.
But yeah, so that was, and beyond that, like, cause as you do, I guess, I went forward, like getting into more current bands, and then later on I went backwards and got into Slayer, Metallica, Megadeth.
Exactly, and that's what I love about us. That's what I love about our dynamic, is that that was you. Whereas my route into it was, I started with the old stuff and then found the new stuff. Whereas you started kind of with the new stuff and then went back. I love that. I love that we have those two different perspectives. Is what I'm saying.
Outside of probably like the one band that I could make an exception for is Pantera, because I feel like that's a band that, like, for me,
they're also timeless.
Yeah. Before I even was, could form really any opinion about heavy music and stuff, like they were a band that was always just in the background. Like they're always, one of those bands that I always heard about. It was them and Slayer probably before anybody, and then Metallica later on. But yeah, so in any case, so I after knowing what I know about Dave Mustaine, and
just beat cancer,
more specifically within the last few years, as far as his cancer stuff.
Yep.
I was really excited to see that he beat cancer, and he was actually able to forward and stuff. Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. And so that was kind of something I feel like I had to see. And that was kind of one of the reasons that I wanted to stick around for their set, or at least a little bit of it, just because.
And we stuck around for most of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw all the hits.
Yeah. They played a lot of songs that I actually kind of forgot about after a certain point, just because Yeah.
The Night of the She-Wolf. I love that song.
Yeah. That was one thing that always kept me listening to them, was I love their instrumentals. Like their
God, dude, parts. Come on. I mean, let's be real. Like Dave Mustaine is not he's the lead singer.
Yeah.
But Megadeth has never had I would say Megadeth has never had a front man. He's not a front man.
Yeah.
He's a lead guitarist and a vocalist.
Yeah.
But more so a lead guitarist than a vocalist. Not to I like his voice a lot personally.
I'll take it or leave it sometimes. Depends on
what, and that's the thing I always kind of like at least in the beginning, when I first got into everything, that's what I liked more about Megadeth and the other big four, is how kind of more like they're structured and like song oriented, you know what I mean? Like chorus oriented, you know, I liked how when I was younger, when I first got into everything, that's what drew me into them. They were the most arguably Iron Maiden of the big four, you know what I mean? And I love, you know, I already loved Iron Maiden, so that was, you know, what got me into it. But
I never thought of them like that.
it's just in terms of song structure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? Like early song structure, you know, there were like the thrashy Iron Maiden in some, you could argue in some way, at least if you were to argue anybody in the big four, I would say them in that context.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what like so that's why I always you know, that we have, of course, the first four Metallica albums, but Megadeth was all, you know, Megadeth always kind of like, at least in the beginning, kind of stuck to the normal song structure, whereas, you know, like 10 to 15 songs on the album, all of them are, you know, 3 to 5 minutes long, whatever. Whereas Metallica was like 6 songs on the album and all of them are 10 to 11 minutes long. You know what I mean? Like, so as much, you know, I still loved Metallica and all that stuff, but I gravitated more towards Megadeth in those early albums when I was first discovering metal and everything, heavily because of that, because of the I liked the more normal song structure and the way that they made it sound, the thrashy element to it, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And his voice. I liked his voice.
It
wasn't just yelling, he was actually singing. You know?
I always liked their art style a little more too.
That too. They had the mascot. They had Vic.
Yeah.
So right there. That makes them the Iron Maiden of thrash metal right there. Like they had a mascot. Nobody else had a mascot at all. Besides, you know, unless you put Motorhead in that category, but that Motorhead's not one of the big four.
Yeah.
Even though they probably should be.
Yeah. There's a few bands you could argue that, but I would say, dude, that was probably, getting back to the show, that was probably one of my favorite parts of that is there who's the I'm blanking on the name of their other guitar player.
I don't know who's in the current lineup.
But just that there was a guitar solo section that happened.
I don't know who's in the touring lineup right now.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Look it up real quick. But that was sick.
But when Vic came out,
yeah.
Can I tell you something? I don't recall maybe one time I've ever seen that at a Megadeth show. With how many times I've seen them, that's rare. They almost, that's not, they're not like Iron Maiden where they bring them out every time. Like, they do not do that very often. And with how many times I've seen them, I was so happy to see that, because that's not a common thing that they do. So that was extra exciting when they brought out the mascot, just like Eddie on stage, just kind of, you know what I mean? It was great. That's epic.
It's pretty old school. Like, you don't, unless you're a band that's buld, you know, in that kind of degree, you don't really see that kind of.
I mean,
it's always cool to me. Like,
I would say I would argue our generation's version of that would be, and as much as I think people from our generation should bring the mascots back, because I think that's such a great thing in heavy metal. The closest our generation is to that is Slipknot. You know, they don't have the one mascot, but they are the 9, and they're kind of 9 mascots in a way, if you think about it. Like the iconic picture of all of them with the red backdrop. That's Slipknot. You know what I mean? And you go to see Slipknot to see those 9 masks on that stage. You know, just like you go to Iron Maiden to see Eddie. You know what I mean? It's the same fucking thing. So
were you ever, this is a bit before, this was their miasma days, maybe a little bit past that, but you know about the ape The
I've seen
gorilla.
the ape.
Yeah.
I've seen the ape.
But that, I mean, that's kind of a small.
I've seen the ape, and with Cannabis Corpse has the bud.
Oh yeah,
I've seen you and I saw that together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, multiple times now. I think we've seen them twice.
Yeah.
Because then we seen with the Loft or something.
Something like that. Yeah. A couple of times.
And at Smalls down in Detroit.
Yeah. So yeah, the sound wise, it was cool.
The venue was I would call the venue spectacular.
Yeah.
That was a so there's no lawn I'll ever be on that will rank higher to me than DTE because that's my home. That's the lawn I love.
Yeah.
I've been to two others, Soaring Eagle, and what I know is Freedom Hill, what's now known as something else in Sterling Heights. Some bank. I don't even remember the name of it anymore. That lawn is shit. I've always fucking hated that lawn. Ever since the first time I was there, it has pissed me off. Yeah. That is the one example that actually Sterling Heights is the one example that I will say on the east side of the state is almost a worse fucking crowd than the west side of the state. That's the one example. The fucking crowds I've been with there suck fucking dick, dude. They don't do. I swear to God, dude, I saw fucking Quiet Riot there with Kevin DuBrow while Kevin DuBrow was alive. Saw Quiet Riot. They were playing the track called Bang Your Fucking Head. Bang Your Head. Kevin DuBrow, and I was the only one in the crowd. Me and Preston were the only ones in the fucking crowd headbanging. The only ones in the entire fucking place. I will never forget that. Like the way that infuriated me.
Yeah.
Like I didn't. Oh my God, that pisses me off to this day.
Are we on the same planet right now?
Do you have no fucking respect? Do you have no fucking respect for what you're seeing, right? Like a monocle of respect. Yeah. Like it drove me nuts. But at the very least, I can say me and Preston broke our fucking necks during that set. Yeah. So and it was amazing. And it was amazing. At the very least, I can say that. That is a terrible fucking lawn, though. Fucking dog shit lawn. So absolutely, hands down, second best lawn I've ever been to is the Soaring Eagle one. The way it was set up, the way there was when you were at the front of the line, when you're on the front row on that lawn, you were like easily 100 to 200 feet closer to the stage than you would be at DTE or Soaring Eagle.
Yeah.
Or Sterling Heights. Mm-hmm. So you're way closer to the stage, and it was it did have, there was like a big fucking like thing in the middle that would block some people's view. So it wasn't without its issues, but it was better set up for mosh pits because it was a full hill, but then it kind of flattened out into gravel at the bottom, and it had a pretty solid, like flatter space. When I went back to DTE, I literally turned at one point to Preston and said, I don't remember the hill being this steep. Like it was way steeper than I remembered. And Soaring Eagle wasn't that steep and had this massive flat area where like it wasn't totally flat, but it was enough. And like perfect for moshing. Perfect for moshing. So it was an excellent hill, excellent venue. The only complaint I have is they only had one merch booth, so the lines were ridiculous. But at the same time, they're connected to a casino, and as long as you had your fucking hand stamped, you could leave the venue and go back into the casino and come back out at will, however much you want. Yeah. So there was like kind of like an element of freedom to it that's not at other venues that was fucking awesome. Just yeah. So I'd never been there before, so I've never talked about that place on the podcast. So I wanted to just mention my experience at that venue. I loved it, and I would love to see more shows there. I would love for more metal bands to come through there, and I would definitely see a show there again in the future. That was excellent.
That's the thing about it is like, there were, there was weird stuff, and I guess with every show, but for one, I didn't even have tickets for this until a few weeks before it happened.
We gotta shout out your boss, bro.
Yeah, man. So yeah, shouts out to Jordan, man, for hooking us up with this, dude.
Jordan over there at High Caliber.
Yeah.
What does it have?
High Caliber Karting Entertainment.
High Caliber Karting Entertainment in Okemos, Michigan, located in the Meridian Mall.
Yeah. This is awesome.
Clip that, send it to him. He'll use the commercial.
Oh yeah, dude. Ad reads. But yeah, hooked us up with
Can those. They sponsor us?
Maybe we are now technically. I don't know. We'll work on it. So that was cool to have. I know we were talking about going to the DTE one anyway, which they ended up going to.
Yeah, your boss hooked us up.
Yeah.
With those tickets, outrageous. So fucking yeah, we definitely owe him one. Big time. I need to meet this guy, whether I get a job there or not. I need to meet this guy. And because that was like, that night was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
That night was fucking amazing, and it's because of him. So I at least need to buy him a drink, something. Like you know what I mean? Like I owe that to you and him. So
yeah, it's been pretty awesome since I started there. It's there's a lot of positivity, a lot of just.
And I mean, come on, man. Like there was one time. Well. All right. I have been fortunate enough to have bosses that recognize that shit, but that's not common. That's not common for a boss. This is extremely crazy fucking music that 99.9% of the fucking population doesn't even like.
Yeah.
Here's 2 tickets for it. You know what I mean? Like, recognize that. Like I have been fortunate enough. Evelyn loved. Like she liked the fact that I was like a metal guy.
Yeah.
I was so like she liked it, And then my next job at the head shop, they all understood it, knew it. You know what I'm saying? They got it.
Yeah.
So I've been fortunate enough to have bosses that recognize that, but I also understand that like that's not a common thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that, and I like that's a big reason why I've stuck around for as long as I have, because I've pretty much been there since we opened, and
you've been there since the business it started to, not since we opened, since the business itself started to exist. This never existed before your first day. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like the whole High Caliber Entertainment thing started there. Like you've been there from the beginning, the inception of the fucking company.
Yeah. So. And I still remember the interview I had with him and stuff. Like it was pretty cool. It was laid back and stuff. And like I remember saying like, talk about like just doing the band stuff, and they were like trying to, wanting to check it out and stuff. Like I told them what, I was talking about it, and they were like, just so you know, when you do leave here, we're gonna look that stuff up in the back. We're gonna listen to it and everything. I was like, hell yeah, like goddamn right. Yeah, I was.
And you could. You were like, there's something to clarify. I'm the drummer.
Yeah.
You made sure. Sure. Okay, so just listen to the drums.
Yeah.
You'll be impressed.
Yeah.
Because everybody, most people hear the fucking vocals and the guitar and be like, yeah. But if you focus in, I think arguably on any heavy metal, if you just focus in on the drums, you'd be like, that's fucking awesome. You know what I mean? Like, there's no, it doesn't even have, like, isolate any metal drum track on its own,
Yeah.
and that's just good drumming.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like 9 times out of 10, like that, just isolate it. It doesn't like so isolated. It doesn't even mean that someone hearing it isolated, they might not even associate it with metal. You know what I mean? It would just be good drumming. And that's kind of like the only instrument in the metal bunch that can kind of like be, in my opinion, be isolated and interpreted outside of metal. You know, when it's isolated, like almost any other instrument, even if it's isolated, you're like, oh, that's metal. But like, I think the drums aren't that way. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
to me,
you
know what I mean?
It's definitely the most upfront. It's the most physical part of it. Like if it's one thing that you're gonna feel out of the entire thing,
right? Well, it's the rhythm.
Yeah,
you know? It's the beat.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been to the metal tour of the year, and it was amazing.
Yeah, I would argue not the no, I don't know. Yeah, because I guess because that the title of the show in itself is a pretty big,
it's a pretty big statement.
Yeah,
but it's probably not wrong either.
Yeah, as far as like American bands,
I would argue against. Well, yeah, for sure. As far as American bands, I would have actually. The fact that Hatebreed is on it makes the name worthy to me.
Yeah.
Like to me, like that solidify Hatebreed, Trivium, Lamb of God, Megadeth, like that. Like it's,
dude.
Yeah, like it's hard to argue that one. It's hard to argue Metal Tour of the Year. It's hard to argue that lineup.
So we had a conversation coming back that stuck with me, like pretty much up through to this point, and that was, we have the big four of thrash metal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them are either retired, have stopped what they're doing, or are still touring when they're kind of on the last album type stuff.
They're tour, or some of them are even touring, but not like even making new music.
Yeah. So
what do we do with that?
What is the
the new big four? I remember this conversation.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about, because this is the conversation that we had. We said we're at a point now, because when the big four of thrash was more or less invented, if you will, there weren't that many subgenres. We had, at that point in time, we probably had thrash, glam, black, and death. Those are probably about the only four subgenres at that time, right? 90s, early 90s.
I was splitting hairs, I guess. I was gonna say, because to a lesser degree, like grind stuff. Grind was pretty big in the 90s, starting off.
Okay.
Napalm Death type stuff.
Okay. Well, yeah, but at that point in time, wouldn't that have just been death? At that point in time, you know what I mean? I could see it evolving, but at that point in time, I feel like it would have been classified as death, Yeah.
In any case, yeah.
So it kind of makes sense to have a big four of just one of the subgenres when there's so few subgenres. But now we live in a world where there's a million fucking subgenres. We got everything. We got everything. So to us, it no longer makes sense to have a big four of one subgenre.
Yeah.
Instead, we should have a big four that at least somewhat is diverse enough to represent as many of the subgenres as we can, in some sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Combine that in combination with, of course, influence and popularity. We're not picking fucking,
There's a certain like you gotta fit in some kind of very specific box of like tier bands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you got,
Yeah, but
it has to be.
it has to be what? It has to be what?
Well, what did we decide on? I guess let's
I don't
lay.
even remember.
Well, it was we talked Lamb of God is because Lamb of God and
I mean, it
Slipknot
has
were
to.
band.
Yeah, I mean, I almost feel like both of them have to be there.
Yeah, those were the two bands that started this conversation.
Okay.
Because I remember walking out of there being like, hot, whatever. I don't give a fuck. I'll die on this hill, I guess. That Lamb of God is like one of the best metal bands of the current generation that we will ever see. They are closest to Pantera. They have started in one type of sound, and then that blew up into a whole other, subsect of heavy music and has grown into what we know of today as the new wave of American heavy metal, right?
Yes.
And it's still continuing to evolve, but they've always kept their same sound. So those are kind of the bands that we're talking about. Like I would put them like their, live show, everything else, all their records, like although there are some, you can have a misstep in there, but I would even argue that their missteps aren't even really that. I would just say that they're just ones that like, a little bit less than the others.
Yeah.
You
you get no argument from me on that one. I think in terms of when you incorporate influence, when you talk about longevity, consistency, everything they've been through, the fact that they're still going, and the fact that they're still like for so long they were, the original lineup, and then even now there's only been one member change, really.
Yeah.
Like it's basically unheard of.
Mm.
I don't think there's any argument there. Yeah, for both of us, I think they're one. I mean, in terms of, yeah, I'll flat out, in terms of bands that are still going, yeah, they're my favorite. Like they're probably my favorite band of all time. Them or Iron Maiden. It's always been between them and Iron Maiden. Yeah. Well, for a while it was the Children of Bodom was involved, but now I'm just talking about bands that are still going now.
Right.
But it's now down to them and Iron Maiden all day.
I've always said them, Slipknot, and Black Dahlia Murder are like my three.
Yeah, I could see that.
Just for a variety of reasons.
I would put if I were to make like a tree, like a tiered tree, it'd be Lamb of God, Iron Maiden, and then Slipknot, Dahlia, and the other one you said. You said three. Slipknot, Dahlia.
Lamb of God.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So it would be Slipknot, Dahlia on the next tree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Hatebreed would be on the next tree. Yeah, absolutely.
Because in that, that's just is when I think of. I mean, I don't know, because we kind of narrowed it down a little bit to those ones, but we also I don't think that we ever actually.
There's no way we concluded that. There's no way we came to an agreement.
Yeah, and
but I do think it's a relevant conversation because it is something yeah. There's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah.
What would a big four be today?
You got to think of current bands that not only have started off you know, like I feel like all of those bands were very, you know, when they were first coming out, they, you know, it was pretty undeniable, and it's been the same attitude the entire time, you know, and that to me
Yes.
is kind of a mark of it. I feel like
So that's okay. I see
the
what you're
amount
saying.
of
I like that. I like that.
I
And
feel like
God damn.
yeah,
So like Slipknot, Lamb of God, Hatebreed, Dahlia.
maybe
Like,
you know,
based on your description, and once you input overall influence, and they've had on the entire fucking, all those bands have had on the entire fucking scene. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of feel like that makes sense.
it you know, I like
In some ways, at least.
yeah.
We're gonna get, if anybody fucking that actually gives a fuck watches this, they're gonna tear us apart.
Probably.
But
I don't know. Like that's not really.
I'd like to hear the criticism. I'd like to
Yeah.
hear what they think. You know, that'd be
That's
awesome.
not really the point. Like I would actually really like to start a conversation of this because
Hear the conversation. Yeah, let's continue the conversation. Yeah,
like to me, even as I'm sitting here just looking at all this stuff, like just thinking of bands, like there's quite a few put in there, but it like it kind of it almost like you could almost have two different conversations about it. Is like, you know, and I think that's what we ended up, you know, getting into was like, you know, like the big four of the modern era of like, you know, past the thrash bands, and then like the next level of it. You know what I mean? And there, I would probably put Black Dahlia Murder. There, I would probably put, you know.
You know, you go. I mean, but there's an argument there. Who do you put? Do you put Dahlia, Whitechapel, Parkway?
Yeah.
You know,
but
Kill
then
Switch.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was just thinking about Kill Switch. I'd probably put because they were around the time that Lamb of God came out.
Yes.
I feel like that would be.
But Hatebreed was before them.
Yeah.
But they would be a different segment. They would also be different. Like, that's a different column that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So.
I don't yeah, because you know, to put I genuinely do feel like, and all biases aside, however you would put it, I really feel like Black Dahlia Murder like should belong in this conversation. Because
no, there's no question. There's no question. Yeah.
But is it with the likes of Slipknot, Lamb of God, Hatebreed?
Consider the current big four.
Okay.
You go from Metallica, and I'm not.
It is what it is.
I'm not. I'm just saying what it is.
Yeah.
You go from Metallica, the biggest fucking heavy metal band of all time, to where you could pretty much ask anybody on the street, yeah, they know a Metallica song.
Yeah.
Could you ask anybody on the street an Anthrax song? Probably not.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
Even, you know, maybe a few more than average you'd get Slayer, but probably Megadeth and Anthrax Megadeth because they were on fucking Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
So a bunch of people probably do know at least Symphony of Destruction.
Yeah.
So I'll give them that. So yeah, Anthrax. Yeah. Like, you know, I love Anthrax. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Great.
Fucking love them.
Yeah.
But you go from Metallica to Anthrax in terms of how many people know who the fuck that band is all I'm saying.
Right.
So in that context, Slipknot to Dahlia makes sense, is what I'm saying. Just in terms of like album sales, just in terms of how many people. I'm not saying in terms of how much people like them in general, how we are both diehards of all of these bands. I'm just saying in terms of where can you go in the world and they know the name of that band. Most of them, more people, I would definitely argue, would know the name of Metallica and Slipknot than the Black Dahlia Murder and Anthrax. That's all I'm saying.
That's
all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's all
I
I'm
would
saying.
agree with that.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on where you're at in the world, but yeah, majority of it.
For sure. But worldwide,
everyone
knows who the fuck Metallica is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
More than Slipknot. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Like, we're talking about one of the, At like, it's like fucking Madonna, Eminem, Michael Jackson, and Metallica. Like, they're the biggest of all time. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Beatles, and the fucking Beatles, of course. You know. And Led Zeppelin. But, like, are the biggest of all time. That's it, though. You know? And then it's everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Metallica is in that conversation. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. So that perspective, bring it into our current, the what we're trying to figure out as a current Big Four that is representative, at least somewhat, of as many fucking as big of the variety that there is now in heavy metal.
Well, that's kind of thing is like it has to be, you know, somebody like a universally known.
What I bring and a factor that I really like to bring into it is how I perceive their influence on the genre.
Okay.
Who changed the game?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who set a new bar?
Yeah.
Dahlia is definitely one of them. You know. So, but that's another factor that I bring into it. That's why I would say, in a big bad way, you know, of course, Lamb of God and Slipknot are definitely, they got to be the first, you know, Metallica and Slayer of the current day.
Yeah.
I don't think there's no other example to draw. To me, in terms of actual metal. Like, don't come at me with this 5-finger death punch bullshit. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Actual fucking metal.
Yeah. And to me, definitely a big part of it is you know, both strictly speaking, I guess Dahlia is a little different. I guess strictly speaking, like you know, like influence, I guess, on the genre.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Both bands have started in one way and somewhere along the line had to kind of switch it up and like take some chances and ended up on the positive side of that kind of outcome. And ended up influencing even more bands, even more people to get into the sound and kind of is continuing that style.
I mean, if we were to call it Lamb of God, Slipknot, Dahlia, Hatebreed, if we were to call it that, okay, just for conversation's sake, think about when all of those bands started.
Right.
Some of them 90s. Actually, all of them.
Yeah.
All of them 90s. And then hit in the first decade of the 2000s And now here we are talking about them 25 to 30 years later. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And even, with that, I remember specifically, it was Nocturnal and it was Sacrament that I was getting into both at the same time.
And Sacrament didn't even come out till like 2007, 8, something like that, because Ashes was 05.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah. So,
Well, actually, it had, I think Sacrament was 7 and Wrath was 9. I believe Wrath was 09. 08 or 09. I can't totally remember. But yeah, I know. Right. I know Ashes was 5, so.
So Nocturnal was 2007.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually thought they came out earlier. Wow. Okay.
Sacrament was 2006.
Okay.
So
wow.
I must have gotten into.
So maybe Ashes was 4? Is I wrong about that?
Yeah.
It was 4?
Yeah.
Okay. I was wrong about that.
Wrath,
when was Wrath? Had to have been 8 or 9.
Sacrament was 2006.
Yeah.
Wrath was 2009.
Okay. Yeah. There we go.
2004.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Arguably the biggest albums from all of those bands were outside of Hatebreed, who in 2006 put out Supremacy, which was I would argue their best
my favorite.
Yeah.
My favorite.
Oh yeah, easily.
Hands down.
Yeah. I still
I just got chills thinking about Deaf Wings. Like,
yeah, right. Oof. Divine Intervention.
Ooh.
What was it?
Fucking.
Oh my god! And then Slipknot obviously was Volume 3.
That would have been somewhere 6, 7, 8, somewhere in there. That was out when I was in high school.
Oh. No. Volume 3 was 2004.
That would have been my first year in high school.
Yeah. And
I was a freshman when that
2008. 2008 was All Hope Is Gone. So
and that's when I graduated.
So that makes sense.
Yep.
Why they would be in that conversation.
Yep.
So yeah. Case of it was.
I'm just saying it makes sense. Our argument, yeah. I think that though, I think those 4 actually make sense.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. In terms of longevity, impact on the genre. Now, my only problem with it. What do I got? Slipknot. Oh, I got Hatebreed. My only problem with. Well, no.
You're just 1 second. I'll be right back.
All right.
Real quick, I don't know. It's probably the next half hour. Should probably hop off here. I have to go in a little bit earlier tomorrow, and it's 2 a.m. So.
Yeah, no, I feel it. But what I was gonna say is my only problem with our list is that if the goal is to include, is to not just be thrash, to try to expand and include all the fucking different subgenres.
Yeah.
My problem with our list is that they're all American bands. We need to make a decision right now whether or not to remove some of the bands we've chosen in favor, because let's be real, the fucking metal is bigger in Europe than it is in the United States. They have a bigger metal scene there. It would be, if we're trying to fucking And if our list is really trying to like be as big of an umbrella as possible, then it has to include some European bands. So we either remove some from the big four, our current big four, in favor of, bands like Amon Amarth, or we decide right here and now as metalheads to create something new. To create, instead of the big four, metal has gotten too big. We say metal has gotten too big for just four. There's too much for just four. We no longer have a big four. We have a sinister six.
Okay. Okay.
I saw that from Spider-Man, but like we could come up with something. You feel me though? Like come up with something new. For the new age.
Yeah. The only reason I feel like we landed on those ones was because we were talking about the big four, and the big four were mostly US.
Of course, but they were all just thrash. We have to expand our minds.
True.
We have to be bigger than this.
Yeah. So that would mean, well, what are the parameters, I guess? That would mean, I guess, since it's 6, would that be 2 bands from each?
There are no parameters.
It's just.
It does. No, 2 bands from overall. No.
That best represent the genre.
That, yes, 100%. But also maybe even consider, and I'm just thinking of this now, bands who it could be argued started, like they were the nexus point for the branch of other subgenres. You know what I mean? Behemoth.
Every time this conversation comes up, I struggle with where to put them at, because I feel like they were.
Black metal is huge. Like I kind of feel like it deserves to be there.
Yeah.
Amon Amarth. Like huge.
Yeah.
Parkway Drive could be in the conversation at that point.
Way bigger than anybody gives them credit for, man.
Way fucking bigger.
Like let's be honest.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Way bigger.
They've been around for a long time. They play with a lot of bands that are like
everyone.
Legends, and
Mayhem festivals.
They're only just now falling under like a niche of Viking metal. They're the Viking band. I mean,
but they are.
That has to count for something.
It's that because there are others.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they are the one.
Yeah.
And they make the mad notes like every fucking time. So like they're so fucking good. Like just, oh God, I love them so much. I can't wait to see them again. But yeah, in any case, this is I did not see this conversation go. I was gonna go down a totally different rabbit hole with us tonight. I love that we went down this one for this episode. This is outstanding.
Yeah.
God damn it. Did we just record episode 198? Is it 198?
I think so, yeah. Last time it was 197. So we're gonna be Halloween episode's gonna be
Halloween episodes will be 200 something.
yeah.
Where are we? We only got 2 more till 200, bro. Oh, I'm excited.
Crazy.
We gotta do something cool for 200.
Yeah.
I don't know what. We gotta come up with something. But we also are gonna have to record a new episode like sometime late next week, and you know why. We're gonna have some things to talk about. Yeah. So that'll at least for sure be 199. Yeah. Might even actually be 200 because I might get in an episode with Victims of the System before that, but I don't know yet.
Yeah.
We'll see. But we'll have to do something cool for it. But this is going to be an ongoing conversation. I'm going to put this on our fucking Instagram. You know how you can like ask a question, what would your current metal big four be?
Okay. And yeah. I like that.
Do something like that. And we'll continue. This will be an ongoing conversation. I like this. I think it's a good thing to talk about because there are so fucking many different subgenres. And this is a way to kind of bring this is just kind of another way to bring everyone together. You know what I mean? Like in a sense, to me at least, that's kind of how I see it. Like I think it's we could do something cool with it. I think that'd be fun.
That's what I was saying. Like ever since we talked about it, I was like, man, like I've really seriously put some thought into this, and like, you know, because it's you know, to your point, like there's just like the you know, a lot of people just kind of think that like it's very, you know, that metal and just extreme music is just a small thing, but there's so much more than that, and it's branched out into so many more aspects of popular music, and you know, like I feel like all these bands that we're talking about, and all the ones that we're seeing, like, you know, the ones that we saw, you know, the other day, what we're seeing this weekend, you know, and past this, like, you know, is it's so like, for one, you know, the fact that a lot of these bands are still going is something to be, you know, to celebrate for sure.
Be proud of.
And, you know, I think that we need to come to an agreement as a community that, like, you know, there has to be like 6 really definitive bands that like just that capture everything, you know, that
we do gotta come up with something. If it's gonna be 6, we gotta come up with something better than Sinister Six, because that's from Spider-Man. But like would it be 5? Could it be 7? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like 6 is kind of nice because, you know, 666. But like, but we would have come up with a better name. But we'll work on it. But like, but I agree with you. Like a fucking. I feel like having, because the big 4 of thrash. You know what I mean? Like that I feel like that brought thrash fans closer together in a way. Yeah, like we have the big 4, you know what I mean? If we made a big whatever of it that was more of an umbrella, more than just thrash, that it grabbed up more of the subgenres, it brings those subgenres together, right? Like, it's like, yeah, we got the fucking, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, we got Lamb of God and Behemoth, motherfucker. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's
by the way,
dope.
I just remembered, it hit me out of nowhere. I'm pretty sure the last band we talked about wasn't Hatebreed, it was Cannibal Corpse.
Motherfucker.
I think that was the last band that wasn't, but again, like, there you go. There's 5. There's 5.
There is absolutely no question they have to be on that list. There's no they started at the same time as everyone else we're talking about. So there's 5 right there.
Arguably earlier. because they were more 90s than they were 2000s, I guess.
No, I would say they're more early 90s, but Hatebreed, I believe Hatebreed, Lamb of God, and Slipknot all actually started around like 94, 95. And then and Cannibal started in like 90.
Yeah.
So, or like 89, 90. So, yeah. They're right there.
Yeah.
They're right there. Like, no question. And I would say, I believe Behemoth is the same. I could be wrong. I don't know their history as well as the others, but I would think they're about the same. Seems like they are. But yeah, like, yeah. Oh my God. This is, I'm going to put, I am going to pose, here's what I'll do. I'll pose the question of what would the current day Big Four be? And then, we are going to have to come up with a number and a name for it that is as like, everybody loves the name. Everybody loves the Big Four, right? Everybody loves Big Four. We're going to have to come up with something that rivals that.
Yeah.
Like everybody likes to say. You know what I mean?
When you say the Big Four, when you talk about it, you know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, like,
exactly. We're going to have to come up with something that is good enough to become, to have the notoriety that does.
Mm.
We're gonna have to come up with that.
That's cool. I like that.
Nobody else is doing it.
Yeah.
No one else is doing it. So let's fucking do it. And yeah, we'll figure. Anybody that's still fucking watching this right now, we gotta be easily 2 hours in this podcast. I fucking love you. If you have any suggestions, please comment below. That would be amazing. Yeah. That would be amazing because we want everyone that likes our shit to be involved in this conversation because you are us. You are the fans just like we are. That's all we are fucking fans. So fucking let us know what you think about what we're talking about right now. But we should probably wrap this fucking one up.
Yeah.
This is a great one, man. Oh my God. This is oh my God, I love this so much. I intended to go down a fucking horror movie rabbit hole, but you know what? We'll save that for the next one.
Okay. Yeah.
That'll be the next one.
Yeah.
We'll talk about next one we do. We'll talk about the shows we just went to. Yeah. And then we'll talk about fucking horror movies because it'd be perfect to be the first one that we record at least in October. This one will probably be the first one released in October, but it'll be the first one we record in October at least. So we got a lot of big plans for October.
October 1st tomorrow.
And crazy. As a matter of fact, Aaron, you and I need to really get thinking about what we're going to do for our Halloween special.
Oh, yeah.
I have some ideas. So,
yeah.
We're going to have to talk about some things. And hopefully, who knows, because this motherfucker like never even has service on his phone. Like he is uncontacted. He's the most off the grid motherfucker I've ever known. Hopefully we get Sassman back on the show, but he is just out there all of the time. We have no idea where he is ever. Like, no, I don't even think anyone does. So,
he's a
wild man.
As the closest blood relative to this individual, I even have a hard time keeping tabs on this person. So
correct me if I'm wrong. Is he hit or miss for Christmas?
There's been, what's that?
I feel like he's hit or miss for Christmas. You know what I mean?
Maybe. Yeah.
Like he might be there. He might not be. You never know. Uncle Sassman.
I mean, I don't know. After all the UFO stuff, he might have changed he might be onto some
You know, that's true.
We don't know.
I haven't heard from him. Have you?
No.
No. So neither of us have even heard from him. So he could be on some new shit. So hopefully we can get in touch with him sometime in October. And it would be that would be awesome. So
he communicates through the old ways of postage. So
he sends letters.
Yes.
Okay.
Very old school.
Hey, here's your mission for before the end of the week. By October 1st, send him a fucking letter telling him we want to be back in touch. Even if he has to call us from satellite phone. He knows how to get in touch with us. Tell him to reach out because we're looking. We want it's October. It's spooky season. We want an update from him. He'd be down for that. So just do the last letter you got. Just return postage, and be, hey, we are ready for the return of the Sassman.
Something, yeah.
That'd be great.
Put the word out.
Yeah. Put the word out, Aaron. That'd be great. In any case, October is going to be awesome. So yeah, but you want to wrap this one up? We good?
Yeah, man.
All right.
Awesome.
This is a fucking great episode. But all right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers, my brother. Cheers to the Crypt crew. We love you all. We're back again, as always, very soon with much, much more. But until next time, raise your fucking horns and bang your goddamn heads. We love you all to death. Good night. Blah.
After the dawn.